Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second 2024 New England Chapter Connects educational session. My name is Tom Modzilewski, and I'm the co-chair of the New England APWA Education Committee. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's session, Growing and Greening Municipal Solid Waste and Recycling Programs. From innovative recycling programs that prevent foam from going to landfills, to connecting and engaging with community members to improve recycling operations and success, and furthering strong customer service through a superstar transfer station team. Our presenters will share these programs, initiatives, and best practices in their communities to elevate municipal waste management and recycling services. Just a couple of things before we get started. First, many thanks to our Public Works Awareness Committee, the PWAC team, the New England Chapter Education Committee, and the subcommittee that puts these sessions together. These groups work extremely hard to promote the value and importance of public works and provide interesting and informative and timely learning opportunities for our members. Also, a big shout out to the entire team at the Connecticut T2 Center. They do an amazing job producing and supporting our New England Chapter Connects program. And of course, special thanks to our APWA New England Chapter sponsors. Without the support of our sponsors, we could not bring all of the valuable programs and events to our members in the public works community. The New England Chapter Connects program was created to keep us all connected and informed while we were isolated during COVID, and it still exists today because of its success and has received national recognition. We have upcoming sessions on May 23rd, September 26th, October 24th, and November 14th. And we'd love it if you all joined us for these fantastic discussions. We hope that you will all find this series worthwhile and informative as we continue to stay connected. Please help us help you by completing a very short survey via QR code at the end of the session. Also, if you miss a session or would like to replay a session for your staff, all of our New England Chapter Connect sessions can be viewed on the chapter website. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenters for today. First, we have Jay Fink. With more than 30 years of public works experience, mostly in cities along the Massachusetts coastline, Jay Fink is currently the Commissioner of Public Works and Parks for the City of Worcester, Massachusetts, a position he has held since 2020. He oversees engineering, parks and recreation, streets, sanitation, and central garage operations, as well as water and sewer. He manages 450 full-time, 10 part-time, and 150 seasonal staff, as well as a force of 350 during snowstorms. The annual expense budget is more than $110 million and a capital budget of $68 million, with water and sewer systems that date back to the 1800s. Next, we have Megan Theriault. During Megan's 20-year career in public works, she has been very active in public education toward recycling right. She has engaged the public in countless ways to spread her outreach of this important topic. She opened a new solid waste facility in Guilford and successfully converted the town from single stream to source separated collection. She received over $100,000 in grants to open the first ever regional foam recycling hub in New Hampshire. Megan enjoys all aspects of public works and is very passionate about encouraging the next generation to find careers in the construction industry and retaining her staff through appreciation and a positive environment. Third, we have Sam Saunders. Sam serves as a recycling and refuse manager for the town of Ellington in Connecticut. His work primarily revolves around enhancing the community's recycling practices and managing the local recycling center. Sam develops programs and nurtures relationships with vendors and other municipal entities, aiming to support our town's sustainability goals. He is very, very proud of the collective efforts in reducing recycling contamination and expanding the center's capabilities. And finally, we have Eric Fredrickson. Eric is the Director of Operations for All American Waste and USA Waste and Recycling, which he has been a part of going on 21 years. As a private family-owned and operated service company focused on collection, disposal, and material processing based out of Enfield, Connecticut. They are now celebrating their 50th year servicing Connecticut, Western Mass, and Westchester County, New York. Eric's career spans 30 years in the waste and recycling industry, bringing him vast experiences in roles as driver and dispatcher to accounting, finance, sales, and management. Eric now leads operations and the service side of the 350 plus truck organization. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our first presenter, Jay Fink. You may share your screen now and get right into your presentation.
Good morning. The city of Worcester is the second largest city in New England with over 200,000 residents. It is home to 8 colleges and university with a very dense population. 92% of the citizenry are living within environmental justice areas. There are many non-English speaking and foreign-born citizens. The housing stock of Worcester ranges from single-family neighborhoods to very densely populated areas. Worcester is known as the home of the three-deckers. In 1993, the city implemented a pay-as-you-throw program. The basis of the program is yellow trash bags that are offered in 2 sizes. Small contain roughly 15 pounds of trash and the large 30 pounds. These are collected by city personnel. The city also contracts out the collection and processing of recyclable materials. Collections occur on the same day. The pay-as-you-throw program inherently pushes up recycling levels, but it also lends itself to wishful recycling, whereby materials that are not allowed end up in collection containers. During COVID, as we all saw, there was a marked increase in trash and recycling due to everyone staying at home. This also drove up costs. As with many municipalities, over the years, there have been lots of complaints and issues with overflowing bins, contaminated recycling, and illegal dumping. The city of Worcester
Jay, you hit mute there by accident.
Sorry about that. All back?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I don't know how that occurred. So often we've got plastic bottles and papers blown from the bins and increase the amount of litter on the streets. In an effort to combat this, a pilot program was initiated that allowed for recycling to be done in clear plastic bags. As part of the project, the local materials recovery facility would be modified to separate the bags and the material. Unfortunately, the program was never fully implemented for many reasons, most of it politically. And the practice of bagging of recyclable materials was allowed to continue. Recognizing that increasing costs needed to be controlled, a new push was on to lower the contamination rates. However, the administration did not want to clamp down on contamination without giving something back. New bins were purchased that were larger and also included a lid, which was aimed at preventing recyclable materials from being blown about. In 2021, the first bins were received and delivered to about 1/3 of the city. Due to the shortage of resins needed for production, again, we're in post-COVID times, the remainder of the bins did not arrive and get delivered until the following summer. The bins were designed with a QR code that would take the resident directly to the city's recycling website should there be questions. A sticker was also affixed to the bins prior to delivery, which clearly illustrated what could and could not be placed in the bins. Old habits are hard to break, and many in the community were doubtful that much could be done to reduce contamination levels. The biggest hurdle, those plastic bags. A team was assembled that included the city's communications team, the Departments of Sustainability and Resiliency, Department of Public Works and Parks, and the Worcester Green Corps. That's a brainchild of the Chamber of Commerce, including staff members as well as kids from local schools. Their mission was to assist in abating litter in the neighborhoods. They also joined our team. And finally, the recycling contractor Casella actively participated. Everyone was a stakeholder and everyone had a part to play. The date was set for October 1, 2022 as the date to stop collecting the clear plastic bags full of recyclables. The team met every other week to develop an educational campaign and get the word out in anticipation of that date. The communications team developed media messaging and utilized phone alerts to push out the word. Slogan was also developed: use bins, not bags, and door hangers were created. The Green Corps student forces canvassed city streets and identified contamination scofflaws and distributed information pamphlets, as well as engaging residents they met along the way. Communication with the drivers of the collection trucks was also key to get an understanding of what was happening citywide. Stickers were developed to adhere to any plastic bags that were left behind. Rather than the typical enforcement language, a large red sticker was designed that said "oops," with smaller language indicating that they must have put this out by mistake and gave them options what they needed to do to rectify it. The contract for recycling processing has different cost tiers based on the level of contaminations. For years, the contamination was running above 20%, which is based on weight. The contamination rates were measured on a quarterly basis. Audits were done to determine the contamination levels by taking a random sample from one truck each collection day for the week and measuring the weight of unacceptable materials. Within 6 months of the very aggressive education campaign, accompanied by leaving behind any clear bags, as well as bins that contained visible contamination, the rates were slashed in half. The driver of the program was controlling costs. With a subsequent contract amendment, again, pricing was on the increase. However, the audit showed that the city was able to get and stay below the 10% threshold and paid a processing fee of $110 per ton. This resulted in a cost savings to the city in FY24 of approximately $210,000. This movement was also dovetailed into other strategies such as textile and food waste collection that could be requested and serviced at participating households, as well as the availability of collection bins in city yards. To combat illegal dumping, reduced costs for the disposal was developed at the city drop-off facility for bulk waste items. However, the job doesn't end here. With a relevant transient community of the population as well as students, the educational components must continue. If the city could achieve contamination rates of below 5%, then additional cost savings on the processing could be possible, but that would likely take a much wider movement to eliminate single-use items and non-recyclable mail packaging. The city is in the process of developing its zero waste master plan, continuing outreach and looking into collaborate with public schools and local colleges to recycle more and waste less. In the past year, a full-time position of a zero waste coordinator has been hired at the city to carry the torch. And
That was great, Jay. Thank you very much. I had a real quick question before we move on to Megan. How is your contamination rates measured?
so you have 5 days a week. Every week they pick one random truck. Basically with a Bobcat and a Bobcat attachment, grab a sample out of that truck. It comes out to about 300 or so pounds. And then literally it's hand sorted. So anything that may be styrofoam, anything that might be metals, anything that, garden hose, God only knows what else might be in there, gets pulled out and weighed. And they weigh different elements to see where the contaminations really are. Are they contaminated pizza boxes, or is it, plastic wrappings and whatnot that will get tangled up into the machine? When they look at that weight, they take the total weight of the sample, they take the weight of the material, and they come up with a percentage averaged out over those 5 days.
And to piggyback on that, do you see any implementation of AI technology as implemented on the pickup trucks?
That I'd have to defer to the recycling company because they're the ones that are picking it up. You know, everything goes into one bin. These bins are not like the larger bins that would be grabbed with the one-armed bandits, if you will. So there is a human component that empties that. And we rely a lot on the drivers to take a peek in that bin to see what goes into the truck. But you know, it's possible that with automation and AI that could change, but as of right now, it's more of a manual process.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Megan,
Anytime.
sorry to hold you up. Just wanted to get those off my brain while I was thinking of them, but feel free to go ahead and get right into your presentation as well.
Sorry, can you
You're,
see that?
there you go. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Is that bar there too, or no?
No, you're all set.
Okay, perfect. All right, good morning. So this was me 35 years ago, picking up trash off Brandy Brown Road in Plastow. It's where my spark was ignited for helping to clean up the earth and where my passion for all things recycling started too. Foam and plastic pollution is a known global problem. I saw it back then when I was 10, and I'm still seeing it now. The difference is that now I have a job in an area where I can make a difference. And 18 years ago, I was told when I worked in Goffstown that foam was not recyclable, just wasn't feasible or economical due to the light weight. And I was so frustrated with those limited options. So meet Cindy Heath. She is a climate activist and she works for an environmental nonprofit community that focuses on plastic pollution. She purchased a chipper and it was shipped in styrofoam. And she wanted to recycle her styrofoam and found that the nearest densifier was 140 miles away. So she said, well, if I'm going to drive down there to recycle my styrofoam, maybe other people in my community would like to recycle as well. So she started holding little collections on the front porch of like the Cornish country store, and she quickly started filling up her barn with foam. People were telling her they had been saving their foam for 10 years, just waiting for an option to recycle it. And so she said, oh my goodness, you know, clearly a lot of people have this stuff. So she was also part of Sustainable Lebanon group, and she met with them and decided that they should do a collection day and just see if other people have a bunch of foam. So they held that very first foam collection event, and they had a ton of stuff that they were able to drive down to Palmer, Mass, 140 miles away to bring their styrofoam. She had a vision to bring foam recycling to northern New England. So she created a group called the Foam Recycling Action Group. And this group was a combination of people. She started with Rotary clubs. She actually worked with the district governors who are like the head of the different Rotary clubs. And they were looking for a project to work collaboratively with communities and have a really long-term sustainable project that they could, work with their different communities. So she did some research and she found a company called Foam Cycle out of New Jersey. They had a patented densifier system, and they were willing to offer this system for a 6-month pilot program to a community. So the missing link was the municipalities, who was going to do this. So they put some outreach out and said, who's interested in talking with us about bringing foam recycling to northern New England? So that's where I stepped in. I've always been super passionate about this. And as soon as I heard there was a possibility of recycling foam, I was all in. So I joined the conversation along with a Vermont community, Lyndonville, Vermont, which is the Northeast Waste Management District, Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District. So they service 50 communities and they were interested in this as well. So we were the two communities that kind of jumped on the conversation. So this amazing group of passionate people, I felt right at home, which was awesome. We were all so excited about this opportunity. So we started talking about, what are our goals here? Like, why are we all doing this? So we could have clear goals to explain to people. Our biggest one obviously was to reduce the foam waste in landfill. In landfills, the foam does not degrade. If it's exposed to the sun, it can break down into smaller pieces. but if it's buried, it doesn't break down at all. So it's very much space wasting in landfills. And as we all know, we are very quickly running out of landfill space. The goal was also to save money on trash hauling costs. So if you are not packing in your foam into your MSW trailers, if you take it out, you're making more room for your regular MSW in your trash. And we have seen about a 10% reduction in our hauling. We are able to get about 1.3 tons more in every haul that we send out by taking out the foam. So we've been having some savings in our hauling costs. The other goal was to generate some revenue. The estimated revenue from the product that I'll show you later is about $800 a ton. So that's pretty decent. For us, aluminum cans are about $1,100 a ton, and cardboard is down at $100 a ton. So this is a fairly decent recycling commodity. And as we know, recycling isn't a money-making business for communities, but it's a cost offsetting business, cost offsetting as well. So the combo of that, was great and something that I was able to pass on to my community. And then the last thing is reducing pollution. As I said, when I was 10 years old, we're seeing styrofoam out in the woods and in the wetlands, and we're still seeing it today. And our hope is by starting programs like this that we're going to see a reduction in plastic pollution. So how do we make this work? So the system is called the hub and spoke system. The hub is where the densifier is. And in our case, we would have a densifier here in Guilford in New Hampshire. And then Vermont was going to have one in their community. But their hub was only going to be available to their 50 communities that are part of their waste management district. Ours was going to be open to anyone, to the general public. So the goal is the spokes are the different ways that you can do your collection. So one of the most popular things that most people are doing is holding collection events. So these can be done once a year, 4 times a year, really whatever fits your community. This can be municipally run, nonprofit group, Rotary Club, a combination of all three. But these have been very successful in collecting foam. The other option is community collection bins. So these are bins just like your book bins, your clothing bins, and things like that. And these cost about $3,000 a piece. And you can position these anywhere in town in a general, public space. You can put them at your transfer station, and you can collect the foam in a very large bulk bag, and then you would transport it to us. And same thing with the collection events. It has to be transported to a densifier location. The next option is transfer station location. So if you have, source separated recycling, you can add a bay. That is where people drop their foam in. And again, your workers could sort it into, well, not really sort it, but just fill it into the bags, and then you haul the bags over to us. The last option, which isn't being utilized yet, but the Rotary clubs were interested in, is a mobile collection system where they would possibly work together or get grants to buy, a box truck and use this and, donate it around to the different communities to do collections. So that was another option they are looking at in the future. So over the next few months, we did research. We obtained funding and approvals. I obviously had to go to my board of selectmen, get approval from them, staff buy-in. I worked on grants immediately, and I was able to get a $50,000 grant from the Foam Packaging Institute. We prepped the site for the system that was coming in. We started collecting loose foam in advance of the system. And then we made a whole bunch of marketing materials, both for our residents and for the greater community. And we started getting that information out there. So we launched our pilot program in July of 22. It's a self-contained unit that you can see in the lower left here. It has roll-up doors and then an opening on the end as well. It has a fan in there, electricity, and the densifier is that tan unit. It takes 2 people to run, 1 person to load and 1 person to make what they call the ingots on the side. So that's the densified foam coming out. Foam is 98% air and 2% plastic, and it densifies down about 90 to 1. So 1 person packs that in those little cubes, and they make what we call the ingots, which is what we sell. It takes 3 large bulk bags to make just 1 ingot, which weighs about 40 pounds. Over the last year and a half, we've collected 8,500 pounds just from Guilford residents, which is the equivalent of about 32 40-yard containers full of foam. And as I said before, we've increased our MSW loads by 1.3 tons and reduced our hauling costs. So we've been saving about $4,500 to $5,000 a year. And again, it's a new program, but these are the early numbers that I have so far. We've collected over 12,000 pounds from 12 other communities, and we've brought in a revenue of about $8,000 to date on the material that we have sold. So a lot of people want to know what happens with this foam. So up in the right-hand corner, you're seeing them holding a piece of the densified ingot. It's a fairly heavy material. It's like a hard plastic material. And what they do is it is melted down and pelletized. And then that material can be used in the process to make different products. So you can make crown moldings, framing, you can make insulation. So that's the company we sell to is Suprema. Their entire product line is 70% recycled content material. So they need this material to make all their insulation products. It also makes things, I think it's called blue block insulation, which is like a foam / concrete, and it reduces the amount of concrete you need and provides insulation for building. So there are numerous community success stories, and it really starts in all different ways. This is Maud and Ellen. They are two lovely ladies from Tamworth in the upper left here. And they, their community stopped recycling in 2017 because of the China sword and all the impacts on the cost of recycling. And they created a small environmental group themselves, and they have started bringing recycling back to their town on their own outside of the municipality. They've been bringing back glass recycling, tin recycling, and now they had heard about the foam program and they were ecstatic. So they started holding styrofoam collection events, and they are bringing it down to us in SUVs. So they also are involved in getting grants to build a whole new transfer station, which will hopefully be able to accommodate all these great recycling efforts that they have been starting up again. Some other community success stories. Molten Borough collects weekly. Well, they collect all the time, sorry, daily at their transfer station. They were dropping off to us weekly, and I think now they've gone to bi-weekly. Many of the communities up here are very seasonally populated, and so in the summer things get a lot busier, so they'll probably start coming weekly. But they drive down as the municipality themselves, not with their Rotary Club, and they bring a trailer, and they are bringing us about 18 bags every other week right now. And we densify that for them. The town of Alton nearby is working with their Rotary Club to purchase 2 of the foam bins that I showed you. And they are going to install those at the transfer station, and they're going to work with the municipality to transport that material back to us. Meredith, in the bottom right, they have started collection events with their Rotary Club. So the Rotary Club held one earlier this year, and they have another one planned, I believe, next month. So they're going to probably do maybe 4 a year or so, and they're going to collect and then transport to us. And then Lebanon. Lebanon is the people who started the very first collection event with Cindy Heath that I told you about. So that is where it all started. They have had 5 collection events. The first one, they had to drive 140 miles away down to Palmer, Mass. In the last 4 collections, they have been able to bring to Guilford at 60 miles away. Our goal is to get hub locations every 50 miles about. That's what we were, looking for to kind of do. We found that people are willing to drive about 50 miles to bring their foam to a collection event. And then also, then that collection event will be driving their foam to us. So we're hoping to have maybe 4 total hubs in all of New Hampshire is kind of our goal. And we're looking to find, the next community who's willing to step up and do that. So right now we have about 14 communities participating. So a year and a half later, we started with just Lebanon at the very beginning, and now we're up to 14 communities. I've received over $110,000 in grant funding, which has completely paid for the entire system, so that there was no cost to our community here in Guilford for being a regional collection site. So I'm asking for communities to, step up and try foam recycling as a pilot program, even if you just test it out and see. I think you'd be shocked at how many people are excited about bringing their foam and being able to recycle it. Maybe you have a recycling identifier near you. And if you don't, maybe you could consider becoming a densifier hub location in your area. But, even if you just start the conversation, ask if there's interest, educate people that this is out there and just see, just start the conversation. My goal is trying to promote positive change, and I feel like we're not only doing that in Guilford, but we're able to now spread that out to the surrounding communities because they're able to participate in this program. And, I'm very proud to work for a community that was willing to step up and do that. I think it's great because now we're able to offer other communities a service that they don't have. So, I say a small effort, like, we're impacting right now 14 communities, and that may seem small, but I feel like if everyone starts working together in a regional effort, we'll really start seeing a change and reducing the amount of foam that is, going into these landfills. So, and that's all I have.
Megan, thank you so much. Great work up there in Guilford. I would ask before we move on to Sam that if you have any information on how towns can jump on to becoming a collection site or to find the foam packing unit near them, if you could drop some links in the chat, that would be fantastic, or send them to myself or Regina or Marilee, and we can share it with the group afterwards, because I know from an Ellington standpoint, we'd be very interested in piloting something. It'd be wonderful. So I appreciate all the information.
No problem. Thanks.
And with that, Sam, if you want to jump in here and share your screen and carry on with your presentation, that'd be great.
All right. Hello, everybody. How's that?
You're good.
Do I have the right screen sharing?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So my name is Sam Saunders. I am the manager of the recycling and refuse here in Ellington. This is a short, about 2-year program that we started out of nowhere. I would say that this was something that we didn't plan for. I didn't really plan for it. It was a part-time position, and it turned into something that has been very successful here in Ellington. So Ellington has about 17,000 residents, and it hovers around that. It's actually grown a little bit, but it's been about that for a few years now. We got about 5,200 curbside carts that are serviced by our hauler, which is All American Waste. That contract started in 2008, and that was if I'm not mistaken, that was the cart distribution was a just complete drop off that ended up being something that we had to deal with later on, and that was had to do with the way that it was organized here at Public Works. So I'll get into that later. This town has unlimited bulky waste, which is very interesting to deal with. It's very beneficial, but it also has another surveillance aspect to the job. So 2021 is when I started. It was November. I have no prior experience in recycling. I think in my interview, I was asked 2 questions. It was about 5 minutes. The first one was, what do I know about recycling? And I actually answered it wrong. I thought that all pizza boxes could just go into the cart, but that didn't matter. The second question was, where would you go with this program if you entered and it was successful? And I said that this can go wherever we want it to go, and it has. So the 2021, the disposal cost changed to go into taxes, which was good timing for when I got on board, because that would have been a little bit more difficult monitoring these carts. We have a brush dump, and then 2023 we opened a recycling center. I started, first day I started, it's I think there was about an hour of somebody walking me around, showing me the building. Went back to my desk and I asked the director at the time what to do. He gave me the keys to a vehicle and he said, go, because there was literally no plan. So I got in the car and didn't even really know where I was going. So going back to the office, we started coming up with a plan. And this was strictly a cart monitor, really, this position. It was not anything more than that. It was go in at 4 in the morning if I have to, check carts, tag them, and then move on. So this, we had some problems in the beginning. Just program awareness, being yelled at from people, 5 a.m. Their dogs are waking up yelling. That was difficult because the first impression is not good at if that's how you introduce a program. So weather's obviously a problem. When you're doing cart inspections, people don't always care if you're on the side of the road. And when it gets slick, I did lose a couple days, which threw off the schedule that we had, which is it's one of the things that we needed to do was go into this with a better approach than go as a trash police. In the beginning, that's kind of how we did it, and it was not going to work that way. So with warning tags, we were able to kind of give somebody just a little bit of a nudge and explain they're doing something wrong. Please fix it. That has been a huge success in this program. We've had route timing issues. You start a little late or go too early, the cart's not there anymore, or it was picked up, or they didn't bring the cart out. Now that throws off your inspection to see if they've improved. So there's just a lot of different things that go into that. If you're going to do it what I think is the right way and what we've seen success with. As you can see in this slide here, I put one of the spreadsheets there, and it shows, how many times that the residents were inspected, if there was a warning tag, what it was in there of the contamination. Then there'd be a link with the photo because I wasn't always in the office. So when somebody called in and yelling at somebody here for why they didn't, why didn't my garbage get picked up? They actually had the proof, which was nice. Then let's see, the biggest thing that I think where we started seeing the most success was with our calendars. That kind of got rid of the surprise factor where people felt like they were being violated. And word got out what was going on, and that might have also helped with some contamination. Let's see, we'll go to the next slide here. These were the inspection tags. So these are some of the numbers that we gathered after about 9 months of doing this. About every 2 carts, or 2 out of 10 carts had some type of contamination. We were going around to the different streets, and I would do not so much I would do the whole street to get percentages, but just 10 at a time, get that number, and then continue to do the rest of the street. But there's certain areas that you just don't want to throw into some of the numbers that would kind of make it either look better or worse. So I'm trying to be as honest as possible with these. So 80%, as you could probably guess, was plastic bags. That is something that I do presentations, and still to this day, people are just shocked that for the last 30 years, all of their cans have been going to landfill. That is something that I still to this day can't figure out why it's not common knowledge. We're trying to do our best. It's just very difficult. I think there is a convenience factor for the residents, but you're already going through the process and the efforts of separating that. So We did see a large amount of people that once they find out, that no more bags. We had some carts, so going back to 2008, and we were able to get some of the documents. A lot of them were handwritten for people requesting carts. And then throughout the years, we've had people that slowly, get a cart from somewhere else, and then it just slowly becomes oh, they're just somebody with 2 carts. That's not a big deal. But there was never documentation, so there was never anybody checking in on it in the beginning, and that ended up being a higher number of contamination percentage because those carts are free for our residents, the additional recycling carts. So those numbers were very important to get, and those carts were very important to get off the street. We've also found, well, then there's 40 undocumented. The number was a little bit higher, but that there's a lot of other confusion with if they actually back in whenever they did get the cards, if there was a reason why they would have it or not. And it's just something that it's kind of funny because people will go to no end to try to throw stuff out, even if it is contaminating. We found carts in other towns, from other towns, let's say, Enfield, Hartford. We found a recycling cart that was actually spray painted to look like a trash cart, and that was actually a lot of construction and demolition debris, so that was good that we got that off the street. And then there was houses that weren't even in our town, but it looks like they are by the way the road goes. So and we did find some proof that they did call in. So for years, those residents were actually getting picked up on our tax dollar. So recycling monitoring is very important for other reasons just than contamination, but to see what people are really doing and if there's some wasted money there. These tags, so I go around, these tags had about a 78% success rate. First warning would be for any type of contamination. The next recycle period would be another check, and 78% cleaned up the recycling. If they did not, then they didn't get picked up. And then that would be these photos right here. These are just some of the more extreme. It's kind of funny to see what people try to jam in there. Some of them don't care. And as you can see, there's one with a folding table that's barely in. That was a pretty busy road. It's just, it's very interesting. So as that program kind of became successful, we got our numbers down and for contamination, we switched over our efforts to increase our drop off. The facility, I believe, was in around 2013. It was a shed that collected batteries, e-waste, bulbs, waste oil, those types of things. Nothing too big. I think it was shut down a few times, and it's grown quite a bit. In 2022, we started taking appliances, scrap metal, then mattresses, and then paint. So 2022 was a very busy year for us, and that's where we then expanded our facility to another building in a bigger space for people to pull in and drop items off. Cardboard actually is one of our most popular drop-off items. I put in a lot of effort into all these other ones. It's always funny to hear how people love the cardboard. But it does bring people down, and that's very important, the awareness. I still have people that come down, they've been here for 20 years, they had no idea that there was a drop-off facility here. And as of Monday, we now accept food waste, which we're excited about. It's just a drop-off, but it just kind of gets us in the door for expanding that and food waste efforts. So this has been quite a process over the year. We've seen quite some success in this. I think where we're going from here will be a little bit of a pull back a little bit and kind of figure out how to make everything run a little bit smoother. But it was quite the rush, as you can see. Both these numbers are actually from the cart inspection. So, oh no, these are the recycling ones. So as you can see over the years, these are fiscal years, by the way. The recycling tonnage went down, which you wouldn't really want. If the total tonnage comes down, you want that just food, regular trash. But I would take these numbers as a lot of contamination has been removed, and that's why. As you can see, our recycling center just in 1 year almost doubled our tonnage. And then our curbside, there's a lot of factors that can go into this, especially with the pandemic. But we have seen some decreases, which is nice, in our overall curbside pickup. I'd like to think that the awareness, we do our best to partner and bring awareness to all the different charity organizations around. We work up with our vendors quite a bit. I think that's very important. And I think it's just people that they're just aware and they know what's going on now. They've never really. I tell people I do the same pitch and the same explanation every time I talk to somebody new that will listen. And it's a rundown of everything going on, where the program is at, where it's going, and it's been successful, as you can see. We're excited. I don't see too much slowing down, but we have a lot of ideas, and it's been good.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate that presentation and all the work you're doing in the town of Ellington. And we'll get right into Eric. We're a little bit short on time. So if you could share your screen, Eric, and get right into the presentation.
And Eric, don't forget to unmute. You're muted, Eric.
Thank you. I need to unmute before I go to my screen share here. So thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity here. Let me get this back up. Thank you for the group here that led the presentation so far. So we did a lot of talk about collection and how things look on the curb. And I'm here today talking about our Murphy Road Recycling All-American MRF, where the material gets processed. So my name is Eric Frederickson, Director of Operations with USA Waste and Recycling and All-American Waste.
Hey, Eric, you're showing presenter mode. Can you swap your display?
Of course I am. All right.
Thank you.
You put the pressure on me here, Tom. Get right into it. One
Sorry
more time,
about that,
guys. One more time here. How's that look?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. We are part of there we go. Part of a family of companies here, USA, All-American Waste, Murphy Road Recycling, and F&G Recycling. As I mentioned today here, talking about the All-American MRF. The interest of time here, and I don't have the 45 minutes that maybe I thought, Tom, right? So I'm going to kind of breeze through the sales pitch, but just so everyone is aware of us as an organization. We are family owned and operated, main office here in Enfield, Connecticut. We service Connecticut, Western Mass, and we're down into a part of Westchester County, New York at this point. So we're celebrating our 50th year here in business, and employ 800 plus here folks throughout Connecticut and Western Mass. So Murphy Road Recycling is a facility located in Berlin, Connecticut. It goes back to mid-70s when it was called Tri-City Recycling. It was there processing mostly newspaper and fiber products at the time. We purchased the facility in 2007. We ran it as a dual stream MRF. And focused on high-grade paper recovery. And then in 2010, with the push for single stream throughout the state, we started a conversion process there where we installed a 25 ton per hour single stream system and some additional quality control and cleanup equipment as part of that system. Fast forward here to 2018. This is the Google Earth version of the facility here today. We've got an addition and solar installation as part of that. We made the decision in 2018 to look at upgrading the facility. It had lived its useful life at that point for what the equipment was. And we saw an opportunity really with capacity. We were at able to run limited capacity with the 25 ton per hour throughput. And so used a combination that and really an opportunity given the markets to leverage new technology to get a better, higher quality product out the other end. And at the same time, MIRA, who is the quasi-government authority here in the state, they had mothballed their recycling plant in Hartford, and we're looking for a partner to process the 55,000 tons that their member towns contributed to the system here. So the new system, the goals, we want to be able to run at least 50 tons per hour. We wanted to be able to make high quality products. And I think the kind of what we went into that, the mantra that we used when we were working on that design was to say that when the markets are really good, we want to be able to command the best dollar possible. And when the markets are really bad, we want to be the last person that anybody ever shuts out. We take in between 700 and 800 tons of material a day right now, and that 700 to 800 tons needs to come back out the other end. And if the markets are bad and you've got the buyers saying, no, I'm not interested, it puts you in a real spot when you got material piling up. So, and then lastly, employee safety and comfort. This was at the sort of start of the COVID pandemic issues. And so that was a real focus for us here. So we commissioned the plant December of 22. So we've been running, coming up on almost a year and a half now. The transition from old system to new was seamless, which was certainly a accolade to our team, but I think more so our customers didn't feel any impact as a result of this upgrade. So currently, we process in the neighborhood of 55 tons an hour there. We've got an uptime of about 85% plus, and we're experiencing less than 2% residue. So I'm rifling through this stuff very quickly. I know some of the names I saw here in the call here today. Some of you have toured the facility, and some of you are local partners here for us in Connecticut, Western Mass. But I would extend the opportunity to anyone interested in coming for a tour to reach out with me. So I think a lot of this you get in the very abbreviated version of the bells and whistles here. But we've got 11 optical sorters, and I think most uniquely, and I saw a note in the chat earlier about how high percentage of plastics that are not recycled. And I'm sure when you look at the total of plastics, I'm sure that's true. I would believe that that's true. The plastics that are part of the single stream recycling process are recycled. And I think what we've been able to do with this system is introduce additional plastics that other systems throughout the country and that our prior system were not able to recycle. Right now, we capture about 8,000 to 10,000 pounds a day of polypropylene plastic, which is your Dunkin' Donuts cold cups and some of your plastic takeout containers and your rigid plastic produce packaging, that sort of material, and as well as black plastics we're able to take now. We installed a laser system to be able to identify and capture that material. And 100% of that material gets recycled. We have markets, domestic markets at this point, actually, for all that. So we also introduced a glass cleanup system to this system, and we've gotten, I see sort of last slide here, we received some awards for the glass that we're able to produce as part of that. So this is Ziggy. Ziggy runs the system. He runs it from that tablet there. So it's one of the benefits of the technology we're able to introduce is that we've got real-time metrics coming off the system, and we're able to run controls as our supervisors walk around the facility. So produce pretty much the standard mix of single stream material products. I've got a few pictures here representing what we have coming off of the line. This is our paper room here, our paper quality control room, where we QC the final version of the fiber products before they go to bale. And then we've got our plastics, aluminum, steel cans, which are all part of the mix, and our glass cullet. And what you see on the lower part of the screen there is the glass system with a turbine as part of that pulls the paper and the fines away from the glass. We've got 2 local outlets here in Connecticut that take our glass cullet and recycle it into additional products. So I mentioned employee safety and comfort. We have the 2 picking rooms, one, the paper room that I referenced, and then the other, the pre-sort room, kind of that line of first defense, I guess, if you will, for any of these contamination items that we've been talking about that Sam described, where we need to make sure we protect the system. So whether it's a large plastic table or a metal chainsaw blade or just bags of material that are unidentifiable, those get pulled off as part of that pre-sort process. So, and we also, and this is, we do not have enough time to go into this. We'll put this on the list for another presentation here, I think maybe, Tom, but Fire Rover, we've employed fire suppression, fire identification technology at all of our facilities, and we've seen such a huge increase in fire risk with specifically lithium-ion batteries now over the last really 2 years is when it's really started to pop here for us. But so we did invest in technology to protect ourselves, but we need help. We need help on the street. We need help from our, I'm sorry, I went back here, Zion. We need help from our municipal partners in keeping that material out of the trash or recycling carts. Some examples of the sorting rooms, and then
The All-American MRF is a breakthrough in single-stream recycling and is a proving ground for how the very best recycling system should operate throughout the world. We occupy a really unique space in recycling throughout the Northeast, where we have deep relationships with many of the municipalities that we're serving and the customers that we're serving. And because of that, we have decades worth of experience of processing their materials and bringing them to markets, so that we can create the highest level of recyclable material for end markets, ensuring that the materials that you put in your bin at home make it to a new product again. Van Dyke has been a leader in recycling equipment development, and we've worked together for decades, and we couldn't be prouder to have them in Connecticut as a local company, local families working together to solve these local issues.
The concept of this facility is to get 50 tons per hour, and they're able to run 20% over design capacity to separate at 60 tons per hour these recyclables into very good end products that are sellable and have very little residue, and do it in an automated way by a combination of size separation, using optical sorters that are the best in the world, and the R&D which we have developed over 38 years in the business.
The new facility is very strategic to us because of its close proximity to our paper mill, and it also gives us access to high-quality fiber 365 days a year. So we're very excited about the new MRF because it'll give us incremental volume that'll be available to us in our process here. Pre-pandemic, the OCC was primarily being collected at the commercial level, where it'd be collected in the stores, put into compactors or put into trailers, and then brought to a recycling plant to be processed. During the pandemic, the consumers' buying habits changed significantly, and more purchases were made at home via e-commerce. With the All-American MRF being open now, it allows us to collect those boxes that are being sent to the home, being processed by the All-American MRF. Then eventually it comes to our mill and it gets put back into our process.
We've been collecting recyclables and processing recyclables for decades. In this market, with the homeowners and residents of Connecticut and Massachusetts, and at the end of the day, we listen to what's important to them. And having a simple, elegant solution that makes it easy for them to do the right thing and recycle is what works. And the All-American MRF is going to allow us to do that better today than we ever have in the past and continue in the future.
So it gives you a little sense of the sort of, I guess, size, scale, size, scale, and scope of what that facility looks like. Again, I think seeing it in person is a welcome opportunity for anyone interested. We were fortunate to receive a National Waste and Recycling Association Recycling Facility of the Year in 2023. And additionally, we just recently here, back last month, received the Glass Recycling Coalition's certification, gold certified certification here for our glass system there. So, so again, my contact information there, should anyone be interested in more information. And I think the in my screen share here, I can also, I guess I'll add, I think that the for the towns that are participating in our system, you can feel confident that your material is going to the right place. And I think we also, the whole concept here, the design was to be flexible so that as material types change going forward and as markets change, we can pick and pull what makes the most sense to bring value to everyone. So thank you for the time here, guys.
Awesome job. Thank you very much. Thanks for all you do for this industry, Eric, and USA and All American Waste. And thanks to our other presenters. Sorry, everybody ran a little over, but I think the information was valuable enough to warrant the time expense. If you all wouldn't mind grabbing that QR code that's on the screen in front of you right now and sharing some feedback with us, good, bad, or indifferent. And we'd love to see you at the next one. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.